Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever it is in the world you are streaming here on Twitter as well as YouTube for those of you hanging out on that other platform. When we pull up the chat, say what's up to everyone. Okay, I can see you guys now. Stream looks clear. That's like a two stream streak for us here on live Q&A with Wob. What's up, Aaron? Another day in paradise indeed. What a weekend it was. Here in Southern California, mid 70s every day, sun out, Super Bowl Sunday. Watched it at an outdoor bar. Not too bad. My only beef was it was $30 per person just to get in, to get a table, to start ordering overpriced stuff. $30 a head for a local neighborhood bar. I guess if you're going to do that one day, the Super Bowl is the day you can get away with that because the group I was with, we were going somewhere. They certainly had the market for it. What's happening? All right. What's up? Cambo in the chat is asking, do you think Adam Silver has seen your profile pic by now? I've talked to him about it in person. So, yeah. What's up, Nudie Gang? Welcome in. Welcome back. What was my best bet yesterday? I don't think I had a single wager on the Super Bowl. I can't name. I know who Drake May is. I'm trying to think. I know who Drake May and Sam Darnold are. I don't think I could name another player on the team. A single player. The kickers? No. Still watched the game. Had a good time. Seattle's defense looks like the Legion of Boom all over again, but better. Yeah, just not really an NFL guy. College. I watch college football, but NFL is a waste of time for me. Saw the notification from 12:45 for a chase when I woke up this morning, assuming it was a quick one. Yeah, anytime there's no VOD, likely because the chase was over within seconds. I was debating even going live last night because by the time the choppers got there, it was they had already pulled over and they were in the process of surrendering. So that would explain. That's usually the reason. You are correct. A man of culture. Did I like the halftime show? Yeah. I mean, I can understand Spanish fluently. I can't speak it fluently. So I can like tell you what he's singing about, but I sound like the biggest gringo on the planet, which I probably am if I attempt to sing along or replicate. I just don't have, I'm not in practice enough. It's nice to go to Spanish speaking countries though, because I can pick up on what everyone is talking about, but I'm not able to. I can also play the tourist too from America. Yeah, I personally don't listen to Bad Bunny songs, but it was entertaining. If you go anywhere though, oh my God, you go to, when I went to Colombia 3 years ago, I think there was a stretch where every single mall, restaurant, taxi, club, or bar, every single place we went for a day straight had Bad Bunny on. It is, I'm not exaggerating when I say it's at least 75% of the airwaves down there. In South America specifically is Bad Bunny. It wasn't like that in Argentina when I was there recently at all, but Colombia was definitely that much Bad Bunny. So he's incredibly popular, and he's popular for a reason. UNC Duke reaction. I let go a little. I was sitting on this couch right over here because if we're being completely honest, I don't really care as much anymore about the Duke Carolina rivalry because it's over. Ever since the April 2nd, 2022. Is it April 2nd? I have it in my Twitter profile. I have the date listed. April 2nd, 2022. ever since that day, nothing that ever happens in this rivalry for the rest of our lives will match what happened that night, especially with Coach K being retired not once but twice, underdog Carolina team, the Caleb Love shot. Like Duke can win every single game and every single national championship for the next 50 years, and it just means nothing because of what Carolina did to them in the Final Four. So I sit there and watch very apathetically. But when that shot went in, I was like, I saw old man was like, hell yes. Hell yes. So some dribble penetration from Dixon hits Seth Trimble in the corner. And I watched it on slow motion replay. He could have it's easier when you have the luxury of 1080p slow motion, but he could have very easily dumped that to Caleb Wilson, who was crashing the glass. Probably would have caught that, elevated, and finished. But if you did that, then there still would have been like 2.5 seconds left on the clock. And then you open up the chance for Duke to pull an Austin Rivers on you at the buzzer and hit a three and walk it off. So it ended up being perfect. You got a wide open corner three from the senior that's been there before, got his moment. He'll always, always have that for the rest of his life. Happy for the kid, and even happier that someone who is not just one of those NIL, keep transferring, and college is one and done nowadays. So to see someone that's known for a specific program is an endangered species in collegiate sports, and Seth Trimble qualifies. So if you can qualify any player on that roster as like a Carolina guy, it's him. So I'm super happy for him in that moment. Busy night tonight, by the way. Busy night in the association. 10 games, and we got Pistons Hornets. Streak will be put to its ultimate test tonight as the Hornets, the hottest team in the NBA, surging up the Eastern Conference play-in tournament standings, find themselves now in the Chicago Bulls Invitational, catching 2.5 points at home against the Detroit Pistons, the Beasts of the East. And everyone keeps adding me about this Kings-Pelicans game tonight. Why is this what am I missing that this game is like such a big deal? It's the Kings and the Pelicans. Who gives a shit? Like mentions are just blowing up. And no clue what's going on. Maybe this is a Gen Z thing, but whatever. That's going to be the worst game of the night. Kings and Pelicans. Poor Antonio. Thoughts on the flyover? I have no clue what you're talking about. Vegan Barbie, what's happening? Am I happy about Alvarado? Big Nick energy, that guy. I mean, can you name a more perfect Nick than Jose Alvarado? And the answer is yes. Josh Hart. Okay. Can you name a second more Nick than Jose Alvarado? Maybe not. When he gets one of those Grand Theft Alvarado sneak attacks in the corner, inside of Madison Square Garden, that place is going to erupt. And there was just a couple of moments. I spoke about this in the post-game video last night. There was a couple of moments in that game yesterday because Jose's trying to make a first impression. It's his first game with the Knicks on his hometown team. This Knicks roster has had 2 to 2.5 seasons to build chemistry, at least amongst the players, not with the head coach. They had to start over with Mike Brown. But the players, whether it's Brunson, OG, Mikal, they've had roughly, 2 seasons now, which is an eternity in the NBA. So Jose Alvarado comes in there and he's Mr. Positive Reinforcement. Mitchell Robinson misses a couple of free throws. He's over there tapping him on the chest. But there was a play at the end of the third quarter last night where the Celtics were continuously attacking Jalen Brunson with high pick and roll action. Like every other team, this is nothing unique. But Jose was standing at the nail on the free throw line. He identified the set that the Celtics were about to, the tactics they were about to deploy. And you can see him, in a way, reach out to Jalen and say, he acts on it. He's like, to get him out of the action, go get the guy in the corner. I got this right here. So, not that the Knicks weren't doing that before, but for Jose to himself identify that, he's a great point of attack defender despite his size. And, Jalen Johnson's out tonight. Hold on, red alert, red alert, red alert. He was questionable coming into this one. And Dyson Daniels out. Red alert, red alert. We got news. This is why we do the show. 8 now. Oh, okay. It's already factored in here. It's going to start moving on ProfitX. The Hawks catching 8.5 against the Timberwolves, coming off another nasty WTF loss last night. Let's see. Jalen Johnson, 22.5 points, now needs to be absorbed elsewhere. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 20.5. No. Dyson Daniels out too. No. CJ McCollum, that might be your over opportunity if you guys like overs. CJ McCollum over 17.5 feels quite enticing if I say myself. This is your bet of the night right here. 16.5, 17.5 on ProfitX. Okay, where was I? Oh, so yeah, my point is during the 2 4-game losing streaks with the Knicks during January, I would say they weren't always inspired or motivated to make switches like that and identify, you know what, we'll just go into a straight switch. We'll acquiesce to a mismatch. And you know what, in the fourth quarter, we're good enough to just kind of figure this out. But there was a recommitment to defense, at least in that moment with Jose Alvarado, that I thought he made a nice first impression, because that is the type of defense that you signed up for from a guy that's going to captain your second unit. Aaron says, apologies for talking more about chases than basketball in here. Here's a basketball one. Can you give your thoughts on the Sixers dealing McCain the general approach? Joel is playing so well right now, and I would have loved to try and capitalize on it. At the same time, I know all it takes is an elbow or landing wrong for all hope to go out the window for this year. VJ, Maxey, clearly the long-term plan. So I actually don't mind what they did there as much as 76ers fans probably do. And they got some pressure from, are they playing tonight, by the way? They are, right? Joel's questionable against the Blazers, but I'll put this on the screen. Still favorites, by the way. Denny Avdia questionable for this one, too. So remember, NBA rosters are a mathematical equation. And Jared McCain, despite being rookie of the year last year, if he didn't get hurt, I would say it's likely that he could have won that. He had a great start to his rookie campaign. If he was going to stay on the roster past the deadline this year, the 76ers had to make a decision on what they were going to do with Dominic Barlow, who's been stepping into the starting rotation for them, but he's on a 2-way deal. And if you're going to convert him to a full-time contract, you have to have a roster spot for that. So you get to clear a seat on the bench. You get some draft compensation back. And you also free up some more playing time for Quentin Grimes, who, by the way, is sitting here saying, like, last year I was running 40 minutes, getting up 25 shots. Now he's in and out of the lineup. He's been banged up too. But I think this is going to clear the way for Quentin Grimes to have a more defined role. And if we're being completely honest, I think Quentin Grimes does a lot of what Jared McCain does, but with a little bit more experience. Jared McCain's ceiling may be higher down the road, but the 76ers are in win now mode. And it is a blessing in disguise, because Paul George has certainly regressed here. And with him suspended, that they can get Kelly Oubre out there. They also, that's why they got rid of Eric Gordon too, by the way, to free up those roster spots. Kelly Oubre, Trent Wofford has been really good for them. Joel Embiid can't jump over a credit card anymore, and he's no longer jumping to contest anything above the rim. But he is, because he's an incredibly smart person. And I know this from personal experience, okay? And this isn't a brag, but I've been with him in private life before. He's incredibly sharp. And he understands, one, I need to save my body for the playoffs, or two, I may not be physically capable of performing at that explosive level a la Shaquille O'Neal with someone at that size. He doesn't even jump to try and block shots anymore. Jalen Duren is a GOAT tonight, people, by the way. Jalen Duren returning to the lineup for the Pistons against the Buzz. Joel Embiid recognizes I may not have it anymore, but he has been extra, like, embellishing, foul baiting, foul hunting, but he's also been really smart with the basketball too. Like, his skill underneath the rim has been on full display, and that he can stretch the floor. This is the best that you will realistically get from Joel Embiid, I think, for the remainder of his career. And he's starting to fill up the box score big time, surrounded by a perennial superstar in Tyrese Maxey. That guy is so fucking good. They start blowing leads. They go to Maxey, and it's just that step back, like contested three-pointer. And then if you sell out on it, he's so fast, he'll blow right by you, get to the floater, and he's without Kyrie active or Steph active right now. I am willing to say that Tyrese Maxey is the best finishing point guard at the rim that's actually playing in games. That dude is sensational at making that shit look easy. Shout out Tyrese Maxey. What a baller, man. What up from the middle of the Caribbean Sea? How do you get a cell phone signal if you're in the water? Do I think the Pistons win? Yes. Tonight is the end of the road for Buzz, Buzz, Buzz. As the biggest game of the night is between the Charlotte Hornets and the Detroit Pistons. 2.5-point favorites. Detroit will be up for this one, especially with Jalen Duren back. Moose is going to have himself quite the assignment. Moose is second in the NBA right now in offensive rebounding. You know who's first, Mitchell Robinson by far. Second in pretty much every major offensive rebounding category, creating those second chances for the Hornets by going up against Duren and Beef Stew tonight. Kings Pelicans is a whole TikTok sensation. The game. There's like 1 million hype videos, edits. Oh, okay. So yeah, this is a teenager thing. I will never, ever, mark my words, unless TikTok is paying me an amount of money that allows an amount of money that I'm willing to go back and be made a fool because of this next statement. You will never, ever find me on TikTok. Ever. It is Twitter only. I'm on Threads now, but that's because I don't want to say. I don't want to perjure myself. I have incentive to be on Threads, put it that way. TikTok would need to provide the same. What's up? Stop It Sims is asking, how's tennis been treating me? Fantastic. My body feels great. I'm hitting the piss out of the ball. I really wish I pursued playing tennis high school, college instead of golf. I was decent at golf. I was just never ever going to be a D1 player, let alone a pro. And I think I could have been better at tennis than I was at golf because my tennis game is fucking crisp. I can rally. I don't serve much because of my shoulder, but I can rally with the best of them. That's right. So Trendsetter in the chat says the MSG crowd needs to chant. We have New York fans already have the chant because of Jose Reyes. They're used to Jose, 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 Jose. He's going to get that chant at some point. If he does a Grand Theft Alvarado sneak attack, that chant is going to rain down in Madison Square Garden. No, stop it. The Clippers vegan Barbie are not worthy of any. If you lose to the Clippers, it's a what the fuck loss. Kawhi Leonard is having the best year of his career, but the rest of that team is, come on. Especially they get Garland back. John Collins has been playing fine. Brook Lopez, but come on, we can't take them seriously. No one's taking them seriously after that Harden trade. I do admire your commitment, though. And by the way, the Clippers have no incentive to tank, considering their pick is going to Oklahoma City. So they should do everything within their power to get into that play-in tournament. Do you guys want to have the tanking convo? Because we did it on the show today for an hour. If you want me to have the tanking convo, I am willing to provide the proper context and nuance to it. Because I was watching the games this weekend, and it's not as simple as NBA product is disgraceful, tanking happening again. You really got to specify what. Are you just saying that because you don't like the NBA and this is low-hanging fruit and justification for all of your hypotheses? No. You need to be able to speak on it at a high level. Maxi's speed is incredible. Agree also about the roster spot for Barlow. He's been a welcome surprise. Oh, yeah, you got it. No problem. Was I team Patrick or Art Donaldson in Challengers? Which one was the blonde guy? I think I was the I was in favor of the pro, Carly. The other guy was just walking, breathing chaos. And I guess I relate more to the walking, breathing chaos guy, especially in relationships like that. But I was rooting for the Zendaya to end up with him, and ultimately it was a stalemate. Or Donaldson Truther. I mean, I get that movie. Talking about challengers right now. I get the movie and why she's intrigued by both of them and how both are essentially praying at her altar because of their own personalities. It's just the perfect like love triangle. You could also ask if Carly, if you ask that question, it's also like, who did you root for in The Office? Pam or what's her face from Stanford? Rashida Jones's character. When you get old, man, you forget shit. I can't believe I've seen The Office 1,000 times and I can't remember. Karen or Pam. I'm team Pam all the way. Let's talk tanking. All right, we'll get there in just a second. KD's Marlowe is asking, where does Mitchell Robinson rank among my personal all-time Knicks? All-time? Like, I assume you're asking favorite. He's definitely up there. You will never see someone who plays only 20 minutes a game influence said game more than that man. Even when he's not getting rebounds, the Celtics had to send like 3 guys to go over and get him away from the glass. He is gargantuan. And that he can switch on defense. Remember him locking up Jamal Murray? He's the perfect role player in the NBA because he never needs the ball in his hands. He's a rim protector. He's the best rebounder on the floor. He does everything that supplements a star. So my all-time favorite Knicks are John Starks, Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, 1, 2, 3. Allen Houston. Gosh, it would have been Amari 5 if he could stick around a little longer. Jeremy Lin too. Like, is he an all-time favorite Knick for that? Yeah, I guess I got to put Lin on there just because of Linsanity, even though he wasn't around much longer. Jeremy Lin. I'd say Mitchell Robinson is probably like 7th or 8th with Melo. Yeah. Oh, stop. Vegan Barbie, you don't even drink Kool-Aid. You're vegan. Don't drink the Clippers Kool-Aid. I've been Clippers sober since October 2025, and I'm so healthy. I will never, ever believe in a team that says Clippers on the front of the jersey or Harden on the back of the jersey. Like, just being hard-headed about those two particular topics, people and or teams, your life is so much easier. Just never, ever dedicating trust to them again. Promise you. Remember what happened with Jonathan Simmons. Hell, Wikipedia. Jonathan Simmons. Anytime you believe the Cleveland Cavaliers have figured it out, oh my God, they're actually good again. They are not. They have James Harden on the team. And they will go to the playoffs. He will fill up the box score, and they will lose. I promise you. When will we get acknowledgement of the Knicks Pistons games? The history lesson wasn't enough for me. When the Knicks just punt a game like they did, I don't give a shit about that game. Why the hell am I going to waste my time talking about it? There's nothing to take away from that other than they got their ass beat and they gave up. Like seeing the conference finals, man. No one's going to take anything away from that game. What else we got? I do not want to see any Clippers compliments in the chat. Do not let Vegan Barbie get this false hope. The Clippers are going to lose. The final game of their season will be a loss. This I promise you. It's let you know now. It's not even pessimism. It's realistic. What they do with Kawhi in the future is a bigger topic, by the way. Okay, are we ready for the tanking convo? We have time. Are we ready for the tanking chat? Otherwise, this is meant to be Q&A, so if you prefer something else, feel free to ask. So awfully quiet. Okay. Well, we're going to do tanking. Right. The combo does need to be had. So, what's up, 7-8? Where to begin? So this weekend, when everyone was busy with NFL, there were two, I would say, major events that occurred in the tanking world. The first of which was the backfire that occurred with the cannon between the Washington Wizards and the Detroit Pistons, where I watched a team of Bilal Coulibaly, Anthony Gill, Tamir Watkins, Tristan Vukcevic, and someone else. Oh, Sharif Cooper. Go out there and make so many ridiculous shots with the shot clock expiring. I'm not even exaggerating. There was a time when Bilal Coulibaly took a ball that was 35 feet away from the rim, didn't even look, double pumped, threw something over his head, and just banked it in. They missed probably 7 free throws because these players are on the floor for the first time in a long time. Couldn't get a rebound to save their life. And they still ended up winning this game by 9 over the best team in the Eastern Conference, one of the best teams in the NBA. They win that game. Now, keep in mind, Washington is one of the teams that has a pick protection on their first round pick this year. This is where I need to pull up. Bear with me here, people. I need to pull up the old Tankathon to make sure we provide the context of what's about to be discussed. Rally the troops here. Tell everyone it's time to talk. It's time to talk tanking. All right, here we go. Hopefully this, let's see. Okay, good framing. So right here, you'll see Washington is protected 1 through 8. In considering that you can drop 1, 2, 3, you can drop 4 full spots in the lottery if the balls don't go your way. Mathematically, that means the Wizards will have to find a way to finish the season with the with the 4th worst record or worse in the league. Because if they finish 4th, the furthest that they can drop is going to be 8th. So they have mathematical incentive and or ways to guarantee that they retain this pick. Also included in this list is going to be the main suspect, the Utah Jazz, protected 1 through 8 and currently sitting with the 6th worst record in the league. After the Ivica Zubac trade, Indiana now has a protection on their first round pick 1 through 4 with extreme incentive to make sure that they finish with the worst record in the NBA. So Washington first as we continued to discuss their victory against the Pistons. That was a big one because most of these teams, as you can see on the right side of your screen, are losing more games than they're winning. So anytime you actually win one is like, uh-oh, we're going to drop a couple of spots. They end up playing the Brooklyn Nets, who you see right below them. The Brooklyn Nets end up playing pretty much their mainstay rotation, but Alex Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly, Keyshawn George, you name it. The guys who are left over in Washington, who are actually part of their core and their mainstay of a rotation, ends up all being injured coincidentally for the Brooklyn game, which was so massive that they would have flipped number 4 and 5 right here, as you see. Well, they end up sitting and they end up getting destroyed. And then all those guys returned for the game against the Miami Heat, which they ended up getting destroyed anyway. Utah, twice. First, the game against Atlanta in Atlanta, a clutch game, tight game, where Lauri Markkanen is filling it up. He gets subbed out in the third quarter, doesn't return. They end up losing that game after Will Hardy draws up an ATO for Ace Bailey off some pin down screen to take a wild 3 at the buzzer down by 2 to just try and win it. Okay, they end up losing that. They go to Orlando, where Jaren Jackson Jr. makes his debut for the Jazz. Markkanen, Triple J, end up playing quite well. They have, near a 10-point lead against the Magic. That ends up collapsing, and they lose the game in the fourth. Markkanen, Triple J don't come back into the game, and they let Isaiah Collier and whoever else just go out there and chuck, and they end up losing. Once again, no Markkanen, no Triple J. And I think Keontae George got hurt in that one too. Now, real quick, I would like to read you guys, because this is going to be important. I would like to read you guys, as you saw the news today, that OKC is being investigated for load management for that San Antonio Spurs game where they just kept half their team at home, right? Since Lauri Markkanen and Triple J both qualify as star players based on the NBA's terms, in the player participation policy, there is a clause titled Other Circumstances for League Office Discretionary Investigation and Discipline. It reads, the league office may elect in its discretion to investigate and or impose discipline in other circumstances involving star players' non-participation. Examples of other circumstances where the league office may commence an investigation and or impose discipline include, but are not limited to, long-term star player shutdown, which is defined as a star player who stops playing for, or in the judgment of the league office, begins to play a materially reduced role in circumstances affecting the integrity of the game. That's a lot of legal jargon to say. If you are a head coach who starts benching your starters and inserting like G League two-way guys, and you end up just keep losing and losing, that could be interpreted as star players playing a materially reduced role. And the league office has the jurisdiction to make a judgment that that is harming the integrity of the game, and they can be fined for that. Okay, so let's say, because the Utah Jazz in the past have been fined for player participation policy violations. The first offense is only $250,000. The second offense is $500,000, which to us is obviously a lot of money, but these teams are making that per day, at least. Third offense, $1 million. Are you telling me these gazillionaires would not pay an extra, $5 to $7 million to guarantee they retain their pick, plus put themselves in an advantageous position to get an AJ Davancia, who they very clearly want? He's playing down the road in Provo. He didn't end up at BYU by accident. We want to put ourselves in the spot that you can't guarantee it, because if I scroll over here, you'll see you only have a 14% chance of getting the number one overall pick. But you do get a 52.1% chance, you and the three worst records, at getting a top 4 pick, which after seeing what went down between UNC and Duke, it doesn't matter. As long as you're in the top 4, you're getting a star. Maybe even top 5, top 6. So what's happening right now is when Lauri Markkanen goes 25, you know what we're going to do? We're going to look up his box score real quick right now. I'm going to show you just how much this dude was balling in Orlando on Saturday, Sunday? I think it was Saturday. Let me go back here. Okay, here it is. Lauri Markkanen played 26 minutes and 52 seconds, 12 of 21 from the floor for 27 points. Very top of your screen right here. 27 points, 7 rebounds, whatever. But still, 21 shots in 27 minutes. Jaren Jackson Jr., 25 minutes, 9 of 17 from the floor. Keontae George got hurt. And then you can see, obviously, the minutes played off the bench. Now, in Will Hardy's defense, he's the head coach of this team. I have 15 players at my disposal. You can't tell me, the NBA is not allowed to tell me who I can play and bench in every game. Yes, there's obviously stars and non-stars, but we are going down a slippery slope if we are judging coaches potentially running tanking rotations because they're going to guys that usually don't get much play time. If I'm Will Hardy, I'm sitting there saying, I wanted to give these guys an opportunity in a tight game because we're building towards something in the future and wanted to use this game time as experience for them. Who would ever in their right mind suggest that that's not legitimate? But we're also not idiots, and we understand that the Utah Jazz have incentive to lose. See it right here, that they need to lose games. And I do not envy Will Hardy whatsoever because he's in a spot where he is being required to build chemistry with a young team. Ace Bailey around Markkanen and all these guys, Keontae George, most improved player. He's being asked to continue to develop that while I would assume the front office is kind of nudging him like, hey, can you do this while losing? How are you supposed to build team chemistry when the team's always losing? That's not something that's as simple as it sounds. And that's where we're kind of at now, is all these teams you see on the screen, they're going to be losing as many games as possible. Lauri Markkanen's first instance this year of missing back-to-back games due to illness, which is something that's been happening a lot of seasons in Utah. I'm also not calling him a liar. The Jazz told us he was actually sick. In the game that he returned, he did not look very healthy or good. And so I'm not sitting here saying that he's sick, but these other teams, if you so much as get the sniffles, maybe, you know what? Maybe you should sit this one out. We don't want to infect the rest of our team. We don't want your win to be diminished because you're fighting through a virus or something. Why don't you sit this one out? They're going to really be very conservative with their who's available and who's not. But there's a lot of teams on this list. Portland down here has a lottery protected pick. Milwaukee has incentive to lose because if they owe a pick swap to the more favorable with New Orleans, so that while they can't get the number 1 pick, if they somehow got the number 2, then that would go to New Orleans, which goes to Atlanta, and then they get to swap. Or not get to, but have to swap. And just that it started in the middle of January this year means it's exactly 90 days that tanking has begun in the association. Now, the alternatives and fixes to this include putting an expiration date on the lottery, which means March 15th, everything freezes. Your record on March 15th, we do the lottery, and what happens for the rest of the season has no influence on it whatsoever. That way, you can spend that month playing your starters, and it doesn't matter if you win or lose. Go out there and be competitive. The problem is you'll see teams start tanking even sooner than January, because if they feel like we're not going to be competitors, we'll start tanking around Thanksgiving and Christmas instead of Martin Luther King Day. Okay, so that one's out. The other one is, the other popular proposal is getting rid of the lottery completely. They've done that in the past, and just randomizing it with teams. The answer is the NBA is going to get rid of pick protections, is my guess. I have this is not reporting, nor do I know anything, but to see these teams go through the art of tanking the way that they are, I could see a world in which the NBA gets rid of pick protections. Yeah. For all the reasons I just discussed. And the real life analogy I used earlier on the show was, think of Subway, not the actual metro trains, but the sandwich shop. Every time you see a Subway, people, it's a franchised, usually I should say, a franchised location, which means somebody out there fronted the money to pay for licensing rights from Subway to build a sandwich shop. You get their products, you get their branding, you get their packaging, you get to essentially run your own Subway. But being a franchise, you also kick up to the mothership, which is headquarters. So if you're at Subway headquarters and you have one of your franchise stores doing things detrimental to the brand and the product, to the point that that one Subway shop is now tainting the names Subway for all the other locations, we need to step in and do something about that, because the integrity of our brand is at risk. The Utah Jazz are that sandwich shop. They're doing what's in the best interest of their individual Subway. They don't feel the need to protect the integrity of basketball because there are no real size penalties for doing so. We are not in the business of making the NBA an entertaining product when there is so much at stake for us to be competitive. Yes, the NBA would prefer we play Jaren Jackson Jr. and Lauri Markkanen for 40 minutes a night because they're legitimate players, they're attractive, they have fans, but they need to keep this pick, and they need to optimize their positioning in this draft so that they can get one of those stars to surround Markkanen with and then turn competitive. Otherwise, everyone else is getting much better while you did the dirty work for them, playing all your starters and losing your draft positioning. Think of a Subway franchise sandwich shop that is doing illegal activities like pushing drugs out of the store, running an illegal casino. Eventually, Subway's headquarters would step in and say, we need to think about stripping the name Subway off of your location because you're doing us harm and we're in the news because of you. All the other Subway shops are suffering because of you. And these problematic stores are on your screen right now, with the exception of New Orleans, because they don't have their pick. We might as well win games. And also the Clippers right here. The Clippers have no incentive to lose games because that pick's going to OKC regardless. Hopefully you guys understand that the art of what the Jazz are doing right now, the Jazz, the Wizards, and all these other teams, it's not just one team, by the way, point the finger out and say, shame, shame, shame. No, there's plenty of guilty parties this season and in years past. I watched the Dallas Mavericks shamelessly tank to the point that they got continuously fined by the NBA. And they said, we'll take that fine. You know why? Because they were able to keep their pick. You know what that pick resulted in? Derek Lively II. Do you want to know what Derek Lively II resulted in? A finals appearance. Do you know what the Philadelphia 76ers did at the end of last season? the lineups that they were putting on the floor, it was so that they can keep their pick. Guess what the result was? VJ Edgeko. And look where the Sixers are now. Teams are going to continue to do this because the penalties are not nearly harsh enough for them to reconsider. You could quadruple the penalties, and these gazillionaires would still be willing to write those checks as long as we end up getting a top 4 pick from it. Those players are worth multiples of any of those penalties. They'll make that $4 million back in one day on jersey sales if Utah got Debonsa. That's what's going on with tanking. So Utah is going to keep doing this shit where we'll start marketing in Triple J. We'll play them 25 minutes. You can't accuse us of tanking. That's the art of this. You can't accuse us of tanking. They played 25 minutes. Oklahoma City starters play 25 minutes because they blow everyone else out. And they come out in the fourth quarter the same way. You're going to fine us and not fine them? This is a slippery slope. And then you would feel the need to retroactively go back in time and start fining and suspending teams for the shit they do at the end of the seasons. They're not going to do that. The art of tanking and how it continues to evolve and how you put your players out there for a certain amount of time and create this facade that looks like this wonderful puff of smoke, but it's actually sulfur. This facade of trying, but not actually trying, is contagious in the game today, and fans have wised up to it completely. They are very educated on tanking and can identify when it happens. You want to talk about that slippery slope? When a Keontae George actually gets hurt, and now you got a bunch of Gen Z gamblers thinking this game is, look at the comments, rigged. He's bet his own under because of these scandals. That's the shit now that's going to be the result of all of this. They're not going to sit here and watch this stream where I'm providing 20 minutes of nuance around this topic. They're just going to, their brain is instantly going to trigger to rigged, one word comments with zero comprehension of the topic at hand. Why wouldn't they do that? I'm done. Okay. That was a lot of yapping, but you guys asked for it. And that's me on my soapbox about the state of tanking right now. And it's February. We're not even at All-Star weekend yet, people. You think it's bad now? You think it's bad? The moment the Jazz start holding out Markin and the other teams realize maybe we need to start holding out guys too because they're trying to get a head start on us. All right, let me catch up on some of these comments. Oh, they're calling Giannis the greed freak? No. Oh, poor Giannis. No longer the Greek freak. He's the greed freak. Oh, internet comes for everyone. There's nothing the internet loves more than building someone up with a rags to riches story and then tearing them down. That has been the internet since its inception, since I've been alive. It is in the very ethos of how the internet operates. And it appears Giannis is headed towards the late stage capitalism part of his career. Yes, that's right. The Pacers pick is protected 1 through 4 and 10 through 30. It has to fall exactly 5 to 9 for it to go to the Clippers. But if it doesn't go to the Clippers, then it's not one of those rollover picks like we saw with the Lakers. Remember when they kept hitting Ingram, Lonzo, and they kept retaining that pick because it was within the very strict restrictions. I think it was protected, 1 through 3, 1 through 4. This one does not roll over. It becomes a 2031 unprotected first-round pick. Shaun Livingston midi, Carly. I love it. I am very open to that analysis of my current standing as a content creator. I am in the Shaun Livingston midi portion of my life. Still unstoppable, but very limited, right? Shaun Livingston, too, was only playing about 20, 25 minutes. Is it stupid that Dame is doing the three-point contest? Well, think about it. He ruptured the Achilles in April. So he, like Jason Tatum, is around 10 months. They're both in the gym, probably starting to ramp up with practice and trying to get up to game speed. So I would assume they've been shooting three-pointers and jumpers for several months now. And the three-point contest, of course, requires some actual running around the perimeter, but he's been doing a lot more than that during rehab as of late. Jason Tatum's being sent down to the G League to start getting up to like game speed before he returns to the Celtics. But is it an unnecessary risk? At this point, if we were like 3 months since the Achilles rupture, yes. Almost 10 months? No. I still don't think either guy should come back and play. If Tatum comes back, oh my God, if he were to re-injure that, his career is over. If he were to rupture the Achilles again because he came back too early, it's over. It's just over. I hope. I'm not a doctor, but I know how devastating, based on the precedent set, that Achilles injuries are to players in their production. And guys that come back early end up looking like Kobe did. They end up coming back. Wes Matthews couldn't jump over a credit card. Kevin Durant took 2 years off. I just wish. I hope he's taking his time and he comes back when he's ready. James says, hey, please talk about the Sonics again. If you already have, I'm sorry, Rob, I missed this. Oh, yeah. So Brad Townsend of the Dallas Morning News is reporting that the NBA Board of Governors is moving towards expansion. So they're going to have a new influx of money from the fees paid for these expansion franchises, which is going to be roughly $6 billion. That gets distributed to the other 30 governors. They also have NBA Europe starting soon, and that's going to be teams paying a fee to be associated with the NBA. So they're going to be making even more money on top of the bazillions they already do. But I would say Vegas and Seattle would be my two locations. Mexico City, if you could somehow guarantee the security, I just can't trust Mexico in that regard. So, yeah. Vegas and Seattle. Vegas has proven to be an ideal place for a professional sports team because you get the combination of tourists on the Strip as well as the locals, the way that they support the Aces, the Raiders, and the Golden Knights. It's a hotbed. And the NBA has obviously been there often with the NBA Cup and some of the preseason games with the Lakers. So Vegas, Seattle, we'll call it the Sonics. You got to move two teams to the Eastern Conference. So I'm going to assume that's Memphis and New Orleans would be the two that I'd probably move. But yeah, Seattle's been waiting a long time. It's a hotbed of basketball up there. What's up, ILE? In the chat says tanking is probably unavoidable without promotion in a relegation system. Agree on removing pick protections. Yeah, that's the easiest solve. Get rid of pick protections If you trade a pick, it has to be unprotected. That's it. Therefore, teams won't be so concerned with mathematically guaranteeing that they're able to stay within the pick protection. Because you can do that right now. You can't guarantee the first overall pick, but you can guarantee keeping the pick. That'd be pretty cool. Stoney says, I want to see KD close out his career as a Sonic. Brought you into this world to take you out of it. Let's finish this together. And the way he got those standing ovations during the preseason games with the Warriors back in the day. They love him there. Yeah. Sonics have such great heritage, too. I love that franchise. We'll need to do an expansion draft as well. Man, with the NBA being as deep as it currently is, there'll be guys like Dennis Jenkins that are available in an expansion draft. Like Dennis Jenkins could be taken from Detroit and put on Seattle, the backup in Detroit, and then he just starts, right? You could only protect so many players. What's up, James? It says, what do I think of the very out of the box proposal for having teams not be allowed to win the lottery with their pick? This would require designated 48 hours for trade. This is already too much. Trading their picks to another losing team. Obviously, lots of unforeseen downstream impacts if you do that. Not be allowed to win the lottery with their own pick. This would require designated 48 hours for trading. Yeah, that's just a little too. That might be a little too outside the box for me. I can't really wrap my head around that. Carly says, I think it cheapens the event. Get someone who's actually shooting this season to do it. Oh, interesting. Maybe they were trying to create storylines with Dame, like, tune in because it's Dame and he's coming back he's going to play with a ruptured Achilles, trying to draw viewership. You better believe it's going to be busy here very soon in Los Angeles as All-Star Weekend is upon us. People are going to be out and about in their Sunday best. Let me tell you, there's going to be a lot of lookers, as we like to call them. People are going to be dressed in their finest outfits, to say the least. Did I see that Polymarket controversy with the insider hitting 100% of his Super Bowl prop bets? That was regarding the halftime show. So that was clearly someone that had knowledge of the run of show, and the person was betting whether a certain artist was going to be performing or not. Yeah, so they hit every single one of them. And if you're going to be on one of those platforms, of course, know that you are going up against people that likely have some inside information. That's why we use Profitex, right? Not that it's not rampant everywhere in the bookmaking industry, but at least here you can see the liquidity. Vegas is a hotbed to visiting fans. The Raiders never have home field advantage. That's NFL, though. They only play once a week. The Golden Knights games are sold out, lit, incredibly lit. All Aces games, lit. And the NBA games will be lit, too. Vegas loves. I live there. I have a place there. I can tell you, like, the people that have embraced Las Vegas as their permanent home love supporting those sports teams. The only case I can make for expansion, Helwick, is there's so much talent in the league today that you can start to disperse that to other teams. But now the depth and how a guy like Dennis Jenkins, Ryan Rollins, Nick Smith Jr., Mohamed Diawara, guys that are like the 11th and 12th men that are only getting opportunity because so many guys are hurt. those good teams need those players to sustain success when the starters are not available. So maybe it'll force the starters to play more. I don't know. But the NBA, as we know by now, is a for-profit business, and expansion is going to contribute to that. Now, you can't do records for lottery teams. Players do not tank, and players do not care about their team's lottery. The same way that the individual franchises do not care about the integrity of the game reflecting upon the NBA. You can't tell players to go out there, win this game, lose that game, when it's their one opportunity to showcase themselves. They don't want to be replaced by younger, cheaper talent either. Why would I help you get a better pick so I no longer have a job? You can't do it that way, unfortunately. Yeah, Golden Knights games, man, are hype. Hype. Those games are mostly locals too. If they play the Oilers or a big out-of-market team like the Blackhawks, you'll see a bunch of away jerseys there because Vegas has a lot of transients, but that is by far the most popular team in the city. Memphis and New Orleans would be my guess for the teams that move east. Minnesota would be the only other one that logically makes sense. Logo Lucas says, fun fact, last guy to compete in the three-point contest without having played a game in that season to that point was Tim Legler. I did not know that. Shout out, Legs. Did he win? Hell, Wikipedia. Do you know this off the top of your head? I'd be stunned. Even you may not know the answer to this. Oh, he made it to the finals and lost to Steve Kerr. Wow. Small world, man. Small world. Oh, shit. There's a game on. Pistons, Hornets is a go. Game of the night. You can bet it live here on any interest for those of you on ProfitX. It looks like the game's just getting going as the spread is still 2. Did I love those awful commercials? I wasn't even really paying attention. Nothing really stood out to me. Long gone are the days of the Budweiser, what's up? Or the Taco Bell Chihuahua, yo quiero Taco Bell. Even the most interesting man alive. There's so many great commercials and characters, and it's all just like slop or pandering or just playing the Backstreet Boys and then putting your crypto company up on the page. It's just so low brow. Carly takes us home by saying, Dame participating to me in the league conceding that they know the weekend has no juice, so let's just throw 40-year-old Dame on 1 foot out there as a name. This game is going to be especially terrible because you saw Anthony Edwards, who I was hoping might lead the way for Team USA against Wemby. They were talking about playing one-on-one and stuff. Ant was saying he's feeling quite banged up and he may skip the game or ask the coach to not play him that much. So no Ant, no Shea, probably no Luka, no Giannis. We had to bring Şengün in here to start filling in the world roles. Are we going to be watching like Şengün, Siakam pick and rolls with the game on the line? Ugh. I'll probably end up going just because I'll have a credential and see if I could get some funny moments, the press conferences and stuff. But I am not looking forward to the actual events. No, this is going to be ugly. That dunk contest. Woof. Hey, I study the NBA for a living, and I barely know about some of these guys. They need to bring back Steph Curry versus. Oh no, is Steph going to play? Probably not. LeBron going to play? He pulled the plug last year at the last minute. We need another Sabrina versus Steph. That was one of the coolest moments from this decade during an All-Star weekend. Maybe Turning Point USA will have an alternate All-Star weekend. It's just a bunch of 4-year college players in a conference game or something. Oh, that's funny. Unfortunately, Tim, the stream is about to end. But yes, we had some fun conversations about all the hot button topics in the association, tanking and Jose Alvarado. Yeah. Well, at least the parties at All-Star Weekend are still fun. Those have not gone into load management the same way that the game has or the events have. But the only reason why I'm going to the actual events is for the media availability and just to like schmooze and network and say hi to people I haven't seen in a while. But I will not be locked into the cut. I'll watch the actual events like on a TV in the tunnel or something. I don't care. I just don't care anymore. Ennis Kenner. The chat's going with the Turning Point USA alternate stream. Michael Porter Jr. going ISO 1-on-0. Stop. Jonathan Isaac versus Michael Porter Jr. 1-on-1. Stop. You get me into trouble. That was funny. Lip syncing the entire time. No, I didn't bring up Mark Cuban. I'll say no one is more plugged into the Mavericks than Stein. So if he's reporting it, there's some validity. But I'll believe it when I see it. That requires the Adelsons to give up all of their controlling interest in a potential like casino too. They have so much on the line there. He's probably just got FOMO, man. How rich do you need to be? Someone like Mark Cuban, who already had more money than God, now has double that because of his sale to the Adelsons with the Mavericks. Like, don't you ever get bored of just having that much money? How many things can you possibly buy? Maybe it's just my own mentality, and that I can live in. If I had $1 billion, I would still have this apartment. I don't want to leave. I'm comfortable here. I like it here. How much shit can you buy before you just start getting like bored and empty? I understand money's important, but that much money? You need that much money to do what? I guess you can always do philanthropy or colonize Mars or something, but it's just out of my. I'm just over here trying to watch the sunset, so I can't really speak to those aspirations. But I'm just, yeah. Money does not buy happiness. It buys you. It buys you a boat called happiness. Some people, man, just all the money in the world and don't know what to do with it. So, be a nice problem to have, but not for me. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to go watch the games. This is the equivalent of going to class. So then I do my radio show and do the Q&A with you guys. I know what I'm actually talking about. It's been a pleasure. GG's in the chat. I'll be back on Wednesday. I don't know if I'm going to be doing a Friday show because it's All-Star Weekend, but we'll discuss on Wednesday. So if you want to hear me complain about some more shit, I'll see you then. Great. Carly, if you joined late, the weather here, oh my God, 75 and sunny. I hope you guys enjoy up there in the Northeast. It's been nice the past couple of days, I heard. Bye-bye.